Hi there, this is Alva with the video blog HowIMetYourFather.life. Today I wanted to talk about an interesting population, let's say, of New York City, and those are specifically Irish men of New York City. I'm not talking about Irish men whose families have lived in New York for generations. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the fobs, the fresh off the boat Irish guys from London who could care less about going about things the right way in this town. Let me put this in perspective for you. If you meet an Irish guy any other place in the world, they'll probably charm you with their gift of gab. They'll probably, be really friendly and polite. But for some reason, Irish guys of New York use their white privilege to stay undocumented for decades. They work in every fucking bar in Sunnyside, Queens, in Long Island City, all over Queens. They are the biggest scam artist dating men in the city. They don't know what they're talking about. They're looking to get into some kind of a quickie marriage with any gullible woman in New York. I'm not one of them. And they use their white skin and their gift of gab to kind of get in the way of people who are really working hard at trying to stay in the country. Here's an example. I got a call on April Fool's Day a few years ago from a guy who claims that I gave him my number at a bar on St. Patrick's Day. So that would have been a few weeks beforehand, before April Fool's Day. And he had an Irish accent, and somehow he had my number, and he's like, "Oh my God, I think you're so beautiful, and you gave me your number, and we met at a bar on St. Patrick's Day." And I was like, "Are you for real? Like, I never celebrate St. Patrick's Day. I'm French. Like, I have not an Irish bone in my body. Like, St. Patrick's Day means nothing to me. Are you sure we met? How did you get my number?" Like, I was really just not believing this guy who just calls me up out of the blue, to tell me how beautiful I am, how he wants to see me, he wants to meet me, all this kind of stuff. Long story short, after a bit of back and forth, I'm like, okay, I'll meet this guy for coffee. I wasn't really taking him seriously. He was a little bit charming. I was kind of just let me laugh at this guy face to face. And we kind of got our signals crossed a little bit, because he claimed to live in the neighborhood when in actuality he actually lived in the Bronx. And so when he told me that he couldn't meet me at the now closed Starbucks on 7th and Flatbush, I asked him to meet me at the Starbucks on 7th and Flatbush, which is no longer there now. He didn't know what I was talking about, and he claimed to live in the neighborhood. Come to realize he actually lived in the Bronx and was coming a long way, but initially said, "Oh, I live in your neighborhood, right around Parkside Avenue in Brooklyn." And I was like, really? Okay, this should be a no-brainer for him to meet me at the Starbucks on 7th Avenue and Flatbush. I thought that was a neutral enough location for us to meet. What is this guy talking about? I'm not really taking him seriously. This might be good for a laugh. So we end up meeting and going to a bar on Flatbush Ave, just kind of a regular whatever bar. Starts telling me that he needs a place to stay. It's a whole fucking scam. He's just I need an apartment. Basically trying to get into my pants and convince me, beautiful girl from the St. Patrick's Day kind of drunken stupor, that time at whatever bar he thinks he met me at. He's trying to tell me that he just needs a place to crash, needs a girlfriend. Will I be that girlfriend? And I'm like, whoa, I just met you. You called me out of the blue on April Fool's Day. That's already suspect. I'm all about April Fool's Day, by the way. I am the best practical joker around. So I'm kind of half laughing, but half who put you up to this? I gotta see this guy face to face when I meet him. A couple weeks later, after this little kind of bizarre phone call I get from this guy, his name was I think Paul or something. And I meet him and he's just I need a place to crash. Will you be my girlfriend? You're beautiful, blah, blah, blah. Really laying on the charm, really laying it on thick. And I was just really just kind of shocked by this. Like, whoa, I literally just met you and you fucked up the rendezvous because you didn't know how to get to 7th and Flatbush to go to the Starbucks. Like, a lot of red flags with this story of yours already. So what do? I'm just really kind of on the fence about this guy. I'm not really like trying to date him. I'm just like really just like, I don't know about this guy. So what do? I go into work the next day and I look him up on LexisNexis. This, as a journalist, is something I'm allowed to do. I look him up on LexisNexis and I do some Google searches. Come to find out, Mr. Sans-Papier, if you will, is has 3 DUIs and like some crazy like criminal record. I wouldn't have known that had I just kind of gone on his word and let him lay on the charm all thick. This Paul guy, fresh off the boat from like Dublin or Cork or someplace. If I had not done a LexisNexis search on this guy, I would not have known about like his 3 DUIs and like criminal record here, like got into a car crash here, like major fucking shit came up in the LexisNexis search that was further corroborated by like local news in Westchester. Like, what? And let me tell you, Irish guys are terrible in New York. They're all looking for some quick fix, quickie marriage with any vulnerable, maybe looking New York woman. I don't know. I don't think I am vulnerable. I kind of kicked him to the curb after this whole incident. He was trying to tell me he needed to like send a fax to a bank to get an apartment, but he really would rather stay with me. And I'm like, who sends faxes to banks in like the 2020s? Like, this is ridiculous. I didn't buy his bullshit for a second. I was just like, peace, see you later. You can always fax things from your email account. Like, you didn't hear from me, but like, get with the program. And this is your excuse for hanging out with me. You just want to kind of crash at my apartment and be like my like play husband. Like, that's just not how it's gonna go. But I swear, if you go to Sunnyside, you meet all kinds of just like desperate Irishmen who are like hiding behind the bar stands or the bars, barbacks, bartenders, waitstaff at like every restaurant in Queens, just like desperate to like chat up some American girl to have some kind of, quickie wedding, so they don't really have to worry about getting papers. They're sans-papier after all. But like, they do it in a really underhanded way, because at the end of the day, they're still drinking themselves silly 7 days a week. Like, if you compare that to populations of Mexicans, Guatemalans, like anybody from Latin America who's a sans-papier in New York, they're working their asses off to like make rent, bring their families over. Like, they are doing the things you need to do to like make it in America. Meanwhile, these Irishmen in New York are drinking themselves under a table, hiding out from, the police, but then like showing up for all the cute American girls that come into the bar, like sleeping until 4 p.m., like being like the lamest, laziest men you've ever met, lying through their teeth, like not really making a good show of things to like be accepted by, to be like these upstanding American citizens. Like, they are setting people up to just take them for a ride. These Irishmen of New York. Meanwhile, Guatemalans are getting hauled out by ICE. And nobody does a thing about the Irish in Sunnyside. A thing about the lazy fucking drunk Irishmen of Long Island City. About the lazy fucking Irish construction workers in the Bronx. No one fucking lifts a finger. No one calls the cops. No one calls ICE at all. And they know this. They use their white privilege. They use their white privilege, the shitty Irishmen of New York, knowing damn well that Mexicans will get hauled away by ICE, Guatemalans, anybody from Latin America, anybody from Africa, a gazillion times quicker than the white Irish guys. They're all of a sudden white in America. They're not white in Europe, but they all of a sudden become white in America, specifically in New York City, to take people for a fucking ride. And meanwhile, hardworking Guatemalans, hardworking Africans, hardworking Haitians, hardworking, people from all over the world coming to New York, really just kind of just like trying to make ends meet, like, learning the culture, learning the customs, not trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes at all, are getting hauled away by ICE. And these drunk, lazy Irish bartenders are doing nothing to help themselves, coasting on that white privilege, laughing as the Irish, or laughing as the Guatemalan or Latino, restaurant assistants get hauled away by ICE. They laugh at them. They're so fucking rude, the Irish. This doesn't happen to Irish in London. I had the displeasure of dating an Irish guy named Owen McGrath while I was in journalism school. I met him through an online dating site. It was kind of a moment of weakness. He was totally fucking disgusting. He looked like hell, had a bit of the gift of gab, but at the end of the day, you know what broke us up? He was pestering me to have butt sex. I was just like, Mom, what the fuck is this? I told my mom about him. I'm like, I don't like this guy. He keeps pestering me to have butt sex. I've never had butt sex. I'm not about to start now. And he keeps pestering me about having butt sex. Everybody does it. You should get over it. Just have butt sex with me. He's fucking filthy. He has 3 different sexually transmitted diseases, and he's begging me for fucking butt sex, that Owen McGrath. There was another Irish guy that I met in South Korea, Donald Hickey. We had kind of a cute little flirtation going on in South Korea. And I was in Paris over the winter one year. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll just hop on Ryanair and come pay him a visit, because when do I get to go to Ireland? I've been to Ireland a couple of times. I go visit him. This is after he's hot and heavy, ooh, we could be so great together, totally flirty, totally coming on strong, totally just, being this super charmer. I show up there. He's just I have this really terrible sexually transmitted disease. I can't even kiss you. This is an Irish guy in Dublin. Apparently the best place to meet halfway decent Irish guys is London. For the record, I've been to London. I've spent about 10 days of my life in London, in my entire life. And I've lived in Paris going on 9 years. Just to give you some perspective of my feelings about London. And that's apparently the only place where there are halfway decent Irish guys. I'm not saying they don't exist, but the ones in New York are total fucking crybaby, white privilege, trash assholes.